Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make homemade baked beans. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make these baked beans. You know, it wasn't all that long ago that I used to buy the can of baked beans at the store and make them because I didn't know how to make these. This is something I had to learn how to make from someone else. And ever since I learned how to make it, I've been making it myself. Because I found out that you pay a lot for those baked beans in a can or whatever, but you know what? Making them at home tastes pretty darn good, and it's a lot better than you're going to get out of a can because you can control what goes into it. So we're going to go ahead and preheat our ovens to 325 degrees because this is going to have to bake for 2 hours after we get it all mixed up. So we're going to take around like 4 or 5 pieces of bacon, cut it up into small pieces, just enough to where we can like mix it through the beans. We don't want all of it in one place or any huge pieces, so make sure they're all broken up. Then we're going to take us a small onion, cut it up into little bitty pieces. We don't really want much out of this. We just want like little slices to go into the beans and work their way through. We don't want huge hunks of onion. So cut it up, then break up the pieces. Make sure you don't have any large bits of it just caught together there, and just make sure that you have lots of smaller pieces. And we're basically talking like little small pieces. And then you're also going to have some green and red bell peppers in this, which is about 1/4 of a cup if you're counting that. So I took mine out of a frozen bag, which cheaper that way. And basically I'm just going to make sure these are really chopped into smaller fine little pieces. We don't want huge bits of that as well in our baked beans. So just make sure, run a knife over them really quickly after you do the onion and get it all cut up. So now we're going to move on to our cast iron skillet, and you're going to need a large cast iron skillet for this, which we put about 2 tablespoons of oil in the bottom, and then we're taking our onion, putting it in there, and we're going to move this around and cook it until it's cooked through, which means we basically want to make sure that we get this to the point where it's turning translucent, that you don't have any hard pieces of onion anymore. You just want to break it up and get it cooked through, and you're going to have to move it around to get that done. So we're going to have this on medium-high heat. We're going to cook it for at least, I'd say, 3, maybe 4 minutes at the most, because we're going to add other things to this and continue to cook as we go along. So go ahead and do that, cook it up, and then once we get it completely done, we're going to go ahead and add in our green and red peppers, which are going to continue to cook now for another 2 to 3 minutes to get those cooked. So that means by the time you're done with all of this, your onions will be cooked through, your peppers will be cooked through, and we're ready to move to the next step of cooking. So just keep moving these around until you get them completely cooked for, I'd say, at least 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes if they are kind of being stubborn. And then after that, we're going to bring in the bacon that we cut up, and we want to like move this around the pan for a good minute or so. We just want to make sure that it heats up because it's been sitting to the side. We want to get it up to the temperature of the pan and everything else. So go ahead and move it around and cook it through, and keep moving this and turning it as you go, because you want to make sure that all pieces of this are getting an even cook. We don't want to like have some things that don't get enough heat on it because we didn't stir it up. So go ahead and keep going with this until we get to about a minute, and then we're going to bring in 2 cans of pork and beans. Now these are the beans that are going on. This is the easiest way to do this. You could actually have started out with some other kind of bean and cooked it completely and used it, but we're going to use 2 cans of pork and beans. Go ahead, put in your first one, and then we're going to stir this up after we get everything out of the can, because we want to make sure that this starts to move through everything in there before we bring in the second can. So go ahead and mix it up, and make sure that all the onion, peppers, everything, bacon moves all the way through these beans, so that way by the time you get the next can there, it'll be a little easier to continue to mix it because everything's already starting to mix up as you go. So we're going to go ahead and keep stirring this. Now, even though we have this on heat, this is not going to be how we cook these. Remember, these are going in an oven. That's why I said cast iron skillet, because when the cast iron skillet goes in the oven, it can stay in there and not be damaged. So there you go. So once you got your first can all mixed through, we're going to bring in our second can of pork and beans and put them in there, and then do the same thing you did with the first one. Just stir it all up and make sure everything goes through really well. Now, as you can see, there's quite a bit of beans in here. Now, if you wanted to serve this for quite a few people, I mean, this is basically like a medium-sized family serving right here. You literally could add more ingredients to this and just amp the amount that you've got. I mean, you could have done 3 cans of pork and beans or 4, and then just added more bacon and onion and everything else to it to bring it up to that level. That would be your choice. This is what I'm doing here. This is enough to serve a few people, and this is perfectly good with what I'm doing. Now, once we get this all mixed together, we're going to be adding in other ingredients that are going to bring this up. So we're going to add in 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Again, mix it through. The best thing about this is as you keep going, you keep mixing, everything gets mixed through really well. And that's what we have to do through the whole process. And once you get the brown sugar mixed into there, we're going to bring in quite a few more things. So go ahead and mix this through, make sure everything is dissolved. You don't want any like pieces of the brown sugar hanging about. And then we're going to end up adding 1/2 of a cup of barbecue sauce. Now, it's your choice what kind of barbecue sauce that you add to this. You could add honey barbecue, regular barbecue, any kind of brand name that you really prefer. Just get that in there and then start mixing it up, because we want to mix this completely through everything that's in there. Make sure that when you see that brown coloring, it just mixes through all of it, and that way we get a really good mix on it. But it's going to change the color of this considerably as we go. So keep stirring this until everything is in, and we're going to keep going for the next step, which we are going to end up adding some Worcestershire sauce. That's going to give it a little bit of kick of flavor, and it's really going to work to help out in the whole making it taste like baked beans. So once you get it all mixed in, and as you can see, mine definitely changed color when I added in the barbecue sauce, I'm going to get ready for my next step, and that is 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. So you can either eyeball it like I'm doing, or you can use a measuring spoon and just go ahead and put that in and then mix it through. Like I said, everything we do in here is all about the mixing. So get that going in through there. And then the next thing you're going to add to this is some white vinegar. And you're going to need about a tablespoon of it, because this is just going to give a bit of a kick to this. It's going to amp up everything that we put in it so far. So go ahead and mix that through. And then we only have a couple ingredients left, which is really great, because then after that it gets to go in the oven. So next you're going to need some Dijon mustard, and we're going to use a tablespoon worth. And you can actually have the spicy Dijon or whatever you want, the different kinds, just you need a tablespoon. And once that's mixed in, there literally is one thing left, and we're going to use some sriracha sauce. And we're going to use about 1.5 tablespoons. And when we put that in there, that's going to be it. That's our ingredients. Everything is in at that point, and we're about ready for the oven. And if you haven't done it already, you need to preheat your oven to 325 degrees, because this will cook for 2 hours, and you want it in at a full 2 hours. So here goes my sriracha sauce. We're getting that in, and as I said, that's 1.5 tablespoons. And then we're going to mix that in, and this is going to give it a bit of a spicy kick, a little bit of an edge, something kind of bring up the warmth in the beans. It's not going to be overly spicy, but when you taste it, it's going to be like baked beans with a little bit of an edge. And they really taste amazing because of all these different spices and seasonings and everything that went in here. These are really great, and it's better than anything I ever got out of a can, I gotta tell you. Because sometimes the can just, it's lacking for taste. And I paid a lot of money for the expensive kind of bean, you know, the one that Bush's makes. Okay, that's great, but homemade, there is nothing like making homemade baked beans. So once this is completely stirred through, which mine is ready to go, it's going to end up going in the oven. You just need to make sure that everything in there is all mixed through and you didn't get anything on the sides or whatever. And once it comes back after 2 hours from the oven, it'll look something like this. And then you got to stir it up, because there's going to be the topping of it. You know, when it bakes, it's going to have like a film, and you're going to have to mix that through and get that broken up. And then you have your baked beans, and they look something like this, and they are so amazing to eat and have the best flavor. And the best thing is, you made them yourself. So that's really wonderful. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.